Greg Nelson, and this is the Hard Knock State. This is a Simply Sales live stream. Today, we're covering phone skills, and the topic of the phone skills that we're going over today is going to be the warm call. We're going to do talk about the warm call. Instead of talking about a cold call or some of the other types of calls like an inbound call. With the warm call, this is the call that the majority of the salespeople in retail commission sales are making. Typically, your company has spent thousands of dollars in advertisement to get the phone ringing, to get people walking into your store, your showroom, or your office. And so now we're going to cover some of the skills that are going to be necessary in order to convert those calls that you're going to be making into appointments. Because remember, first the whole point of making a phone call, the goal of the call is to make a sale, but first we need to sell the appointment in order to be able to get in front of our prospective client or our buyer in order to finalize the sale. Again, my name is Greg Nelson. I own a sales training company here in the Pacific Northwest called the Hard Knock State. I've been an automotive sales professional and training sales manager, for over 20 years. I've owned a couple different businesses. I climbed two different ladders in completely separate industries. I've been over in business for over 30 years. It was roughly about 10 years ago, before 10 years ago, my first half of my selling career, I was always just kind of an average salesperson and, never really seemed to hit the top producer status or reach the top of the sales board. But I remember this one day in particular. I was walking into a sales meeting. If you've been following these live streams, you've heard this story before. But I remember this one day I was walking into a sales meeting and I was looking at my paycheck. I sat down and opened my paycheck and my face turned bright red. And I slumped in my chair trying to hide. I was thinking about my two kids and how I was going to keep the lights on. And then I heard it. Hey, Greg, I was being called on by the sales manager to tell the entire sales department how many units I had out for the month, or more like didn't have. And I was embarrassed. I was demotivated, and my performance for the rest of the weekend was shot. And the icing on the cake is when I walked home that night and opened the front door, my wife greeted me and told me our water had been turned off. And so if you're like I was, and 76% of us we're living paycheck to paycheck, just scraping to get by. And a lot of us are in the sales organization. And what's really funny is the effort it takes for you to sell as many units as you're currently selling. It's not going to take any more effort in order to sell more, sell consistently, and being able to earn more on each sale. And so, with that, it was probably about a week, maybe 2 weeks later after that one day in the sales meeting. And I remember taking a coffee break with a coworker and a fellow sales associate who had not been in the sales business for as long as I have, not nearly the amount of years. And his sales seemed to be really taken off, really shooting through the roof. And I just was always wondering, man, what is this guy doing differently? So I went out on a coffee break with him, picked his brain, and he turned me on to this sales trainer who had put out an audiobook. And I remember the name of him because the first time I heard him was my first stint in the car business in 1998. I was given a book of audio cassettes that were worn out and mismatched, and I was told to listen to what I heard and repeat that to the customer. And that was about the extent of the formal training I received at that point in time. Of course, that was back in the days of audio cassettes. So you can imagine things are a lot different. And the kind of training that's available today is so cutting edge compared to what it used to be. But So I got this audiobook and I listened to it. I got another one. I listened to it over and over again, just on repeat. And I got a third and then a fourth. And then before I know it, I was going to online webinars that he was putting on, workshops and boot camps about overcoming objections and rebuttals, and how to properly handle topics such as the phone call, and how to perfect the phone skills. And that's when I really got good and my sales really shot through the roof. And it wasn't much longer after that, the tail end of that year. I remember my boss tapped me on the shoulder and congratulated me on a good year, and that I had finished fourth in the store out of close to 50 sales associates. And so that was a huge feat for me. And I never looked back since that period of time. Not only did I get these audiobooks and go to these webinars, I also signed up for his online training university. And if you don't know who Grant Cardone is, you've been sleeping under a rock. You really have. Grant Cardone is an internationally renowned author and speaker. He's a best-selling books, including 10X. The only difference between failure and success, sell or be sold, and received. Grant is also the star of a couple TV shows, uh, The Turnaround King, and the writer because next and magazines publications. And he also holds several billion assets under his company called Cardone Capital. And the founder of Cardone Fund, which is just gives millions to charities. And so with that, you know, it was roughly, gosh, about I would say about a year ago, I left the automotive industry and left the dealership altogether, and kind of took some time off. And then being just a follower of Grant and his material, I signed up to go to a boot camp, one of his 10X business boot camps in Miami, Florida. And so I hopped on a plane, got my plane ticket, got my hotel, shot out over to Miami this past July. And that's when I signed up for Grant Cardone's licensing program. And towards the tail end of July there, I got started, and I was still, working a full, had went back to work temporarily throughout this period of time, working a full-time job in auto sales. And if anybody of you are in auto sales, you know that the schedule is brutal, right? You get to work at 9 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, and you're not done until 9, 10, 11 o'clock. That's pretty much 6 days a week. So trying to do this and do that at the same time just wasn't really cutting it. So I cut ties with that store. My parents are getting older, and now my time is going to have to be split between two different states. So uh, got back on Cardone University, really just studied and trained. I went through all the licensee certifications, and been back down to Miami a few more times for additional training and masterminds and certifications and those type of things. But I am certified to deliver Grant Cardone's 10X sales coaching material and training material to you. So that's what I'm doing. And so to pair up with my sales training business, this information is just phenomenal. There's many different sales trainers and many different organizations, and all of them follow a different process. I am partial to Grant because I know it works. Not only have I seen it work in other people time and time again, I've also known that it works because I've actually worked it. And I know it's logical, it's ethical, it's transparent, and it gets to the point. It gets results. And this February 11th, it's a Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I'm putting on a half-day phone mastery workshop. And it's 1995. And if you go to thehardknockstate.com, you can get a ticket. And so with that, we're going to learn a lot more about the phone. We're going to learn how to handle the call, how to take control of the call, and take control, or how to control the actual phone call. We're going to learn how to maximize the most valuable tool in your business, which is the phone. And I recently did a poll asking people on if they needed to get a hold of somebody, how do they do it? Do they do it by text message or do they do it by phone, by an actual voice call? And the results were a split 50-50 right down the middle. But I got to tell you, in sales, it's really important to be able to get your prospective client or buyer on the phone. The reason for that is, let's say you're calling I used this name yesterday, Bob Jones, and Bob Jones was in your showroom yesterday looking at a new couch. He was looking at a sectional, and Bob's really just had to go home and think about it. It's a really large investment, and it's been 10 years since Bob bought his last couch, and the prices of things have just gone up. And so Bob's got a little bit of sticker shock, and so he goes home and thinks about it. And you, the sales associate, you decide to follow up with Bob the very next day. So 10 o'clock rolls around, and Bob's just had a really challenging time, a challenging day, just a really rough day. And he slept through his alarm. All everything that could go wrong went wrong. Stubbed his toe. Burnt the toast. Didn't have any coffee. Spilled his orange juice. And so you go ahead and you text Bob, asking what he had thought. But Bob, because he's in that demeanor, because he's in an upset demeanor and an angry, kind of, he's just angry, right? And just a rough day. And so Bob reads that text message, but Bob reads that text message with the attitude that Bob's in. So he goes right, starts thinking automatically, man, what a jerk. This guy sending me this angry text message. Is he trying to pressure me to get me to buy this couch? When the reality is that you had no you didn't send that off in an angry tone, but how is Bob going to know? Because you cannot read, the text message does not decipher emotion, right? So you can't tell whether somebody's happy unless they're doing a bunch of exclamation marks and happy smiley face emojis at the end of each text message when they're in a good mood, which most people don't. So the best way and the most effective way to be able to get to be able to communicate effectively with your potential buyer is by making an actual voice phone call. Because once you do, you put that smile on your face. Bob picks up the phone. Even though Bob's in a bad mood, he can sense that you're smiling because he could hear it in the tone of your voice. And then so you go ahead and deliver your message and say what you need to say. And you know what? You never know. You could have just cheered up Bob's day from that point forward. Now, because now you may be the first person he spoke to all day that was happy and in a good mood. And your attitude was right. And now you can go ahead and you can ask Bob again for the sale, and hey, Bob, gosh, I was just thinking, gosh, if everything were right yesterday, uh, and I think it was, I know you kind of told me yesterday, but sleeping on all of that information, gosh, if there was anything that kept you from moving forward yesterday, Bob, what would that be? Would it have been the couch? Or was it the price? Or was it me? Oh, no, no, no. And then that allows you to open up your conversation to be able to get Bob back on board and thinking about making that purchase, which he's going to do at the end of the night because you reached out to Bob through an actual voice call instead of a text message. Um, so with these warm calls right here, and that the follow-up call like that is a hot call, right? But usually the warm calls are, people who are in your power base, people you haven't talked to in a long period of time. They're also customers you haven't engaged with a long period of time, and maybe you're on some long follow-up with a customer or a prospective client who hasn't purchased yet, and maybe it's gone into 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year-long follow-up. Well, now that's becoming a warm call because you're touching bases with them, once every 30 days. So they're not expecting to hear from you. So when you want to activate your power base, and anytime you're making phone calls, and if you're in sales, outside sales, and or you're making phone calls, it doesn't matter whether you work at a car dealership, a furniture store, an appliance store, or whether you're selling insurance or just doing outside sales. Your power base is so important. Well, how do you start with your power base? Well, your power base could start with all the contacts in your phone, right? So create your power based list and then build your file and label it, my power base, and then make the call to activate the power base, the people you haven't heard from in a while, or the people who haven't you haven't called and they haven't called you in a while, and you just want to get back in touch with them. And don't worry if you're not spoken to your power base in a while. The intention of this phone call is just to catch up. It's just to reactivate relationship with these people. So number one, you want to introduce yourself. Number two, you want to ask if it's a good time. Number three, you want to let them know you just want to catch up. And then that's where number four, you can start qualifying. And then five, you want to set a time to meet in person. And then six, follow up with a note. Send them a text after you talked to them on the phone. Hey, it was great chatting with you. I look forward to getting together for coffee, next Thursday at 3 p.m. The goal is to get back in front of the prospect. Another type of call you can make is to service customers. People who are servicing your product that you sell are as close to your product and as loyal to your company as you can get. They really are. And so if you're, let's say, you could be selling heavy equipment, you could be in selling, you know, anything really. And if it's a product and you have a service department that will take care of those customers' needs when their product or their machinery starts to break down on them, hey, look, get a list from your service manager of people who service their vehicles, who aren't currently doing business or haven't currently purchased anything new in a while, and they'll be happy to give you a list if you just ask. And so you just go through those and you start calling those service customers. That is a true warm call. So, look, I used to make a ton of these calls, and customers who purchased vehicles where they were coming back in due for service, due for an oil change, for a 30, 60, 90 mile service. And so when you're calling the service customers, you want to, if possible, intercept them in person. And so, hey, look, they're coming into your service drive, right? They're going to get their car serviced, and they're going to be at your dealership for probably an hour for just a regular, vehicle servicing and oil change, if they're not getting a loaner car and taking off with it. So service them and start qualifying, because there's a next time for everybody. There's a next time. Look, machinery, it breaks down, right? And cars aren't forever. Stoves aren't forever. Hot tubs, furniture, all these items aren't forever. So there's always a next time for everyone. And on a call, follow up to confirm that everything's good, and start qualifying and be of a service. Remember, service is senior to selling. Look, if you're selling a couch, hey, look, what if you sold a couch to a nice couple, and they turned down the stain, they turned down, protecting the fabric or protecting the leather, and 3 months have gone by, and yeah, now would be a great time because you've already done your, hey, thank you for purchasing for me. You've asked them for referrals. That started the day after you sold them the product. And so you went through 3 days of calls, or a week worth of calls or emails, thanking them for doing business with you. Now 90 days go by, and remember, they turned down the fabric and the leather protection. So now would be a good time to probably call and reintroduce that. Maybe they've already dropped one little small drop of Coca-Cola on their fabric, and maybe you'd still be able to protect that rest of the fabric for any further damages coming up. Or hey, maybe you're just calling 6 months, a year down the road to see how that couch is holding up for them. Well, now would be a great time to reactivate that. Hey, is there, now that you got the gosh, I remember you got a couch and a love seat from us here, and you were really happy with your purchase, and we were really happy for you. You were able to take the big advantage of the big sale, and remember the delivery of your couch and love seat just went perfect. And I remember how happy you were. We took a picture of you in front of the couch in your living room, and I remember you were talking about maybe furnishing another room. Is how's that time? Is now a good time to start talking about that? And then remember, being of service gets you attention, and it's a reason to get back in front of the client. So service is senior to selling. So we always want to make sure we're providing a terrific service for our customers. So reactivating sold customers, hey, remind them you're there for them. Remind them that you're still there to service their needs and to help them out throughout the way. Two, be of a service to them. And three, update them with information. Four, find out where they are at in their current cycle. You know, maybe it's been a couple years since they purchased that good or service from you. Figure out when the next time they're going to be thinking about doing something else. Remember, just like the furniture people furbishing their next room. And number five is set up a visit. Invite them in for a cup of coffee that you want to give them some information, maybe useful information about the product they have now and the advantages and benefits, or benefits and advantages of the new model that's coming out. And number five or number six, now then once you set up a visit, it would always be a good idea to get referrals because you're continually staying in touch with your clients, your sold customers. You've earned the right to ask for referrals. And the reality is most people would give referrals to good salespeople who are of a service to those clients. They'll be happy to give a referral only if you ask. But so many salespeople fail to ask for a referral. So when you're calling the sold customer, gosh, you just want to call and introduce yourself and get permission to chat. Hey, is this a good time? Handle any problems that may have come up regarding their previous purchase. Make sure you have all the correct contact information from your guest. And if not, collect that contact information. Move into a transition to information to collection. So when you're talking to them, just make it just in a normal conversation, just move right into information gathering and then get referrals and confirm appointment for your next visit. The next time you're going to be able to get in front of the customer. Converting the unsold, this is another type of warm call. You have to give people who didn't buy at one time some attention. You just do. And so these are your long-term follow-up people. Maybe there are people that were really hot on a product or service that you offered at a certain period of time and you followed up with them for, 15, 30 days. Maybe you touch bases with them once, maybe twice in the second month, but then you kind of just forgot about them, and the conversation just went stale. Maybe you just didn't have any new information at that time. Uh, touch bases with those people and give them some attention. Assign no meaning to the fact that they didn't buy from you 6 months ago. There's probably a reason for it. Today, there are prospect. Every day is a new day, and every day our slate is wiped clean. And so what happened yesterday, and you got to understand, life gets busy. And just because those people who showed interest in your product or service didn't buy from you at that certain period of time does not mean that they're still not interested. Life gets busy. Who knows? Maybe at that period of time, it was a downtime for them and they didn't have a lot going on. So they knew they needed a new car. And so they just started their research. They started putting in the hours to figure out what the car is going to be, how many people it's going to sell, what it's going to do for them. They're trying to find the right fit for their needs. And then all of a sudden, boy, their son started music class again for the next 6 months, and the daughter started volleyball, and the wife's got her things going on, and now life is just really super busy, and you're having to put in longer hours at work and trying to make time to go to the your son's music recital and your daughter's volleyball match, and be the loving husband to your wife and go out and do like whatever, if she's networking or maybe she's got her own side gig going on, and so you need to be the man on her arm for her. Well, life gets busy, right? And so reactivate with these people. 80% of sales to businesses are made after the fifth contact, but only 10% of salespeople call beyond three times. And really, it's between the fifth and the 12th contact, and you gotta understand that. So let's say here's another a thing you got to really think about too. Okay. So let's say with a warm call, let's say it was a lead that was generated by your company. Okay. It took you 5 to 12 times to get in contact with that customer for them to come into the store, set an appointment with you for them to come into the store and for you to demonstrate your product or service to them and for you to get a proposal in front of you. You went through the steps perfectly. It was textbook, right? You went through the steps, you got the proposal in front of them. You just couldn't close the deal for on that day, right? And so, and the customer just wanted to go home and think about it. And so now you let the customer go home and think about it. You couldn't close them right then and there. They just weren't just it just wasn't happening. And so you told your boss, yeah, boss, they're going to go home and think about it. And I got all their information. I'm going to keep following up with you and with them. And so now you're really having a hard time getting back a hold of this customer. Remember, it took you 5 to 12 attempts to get a hold of them in the first place. Now you're going to have to make 5 to 12 additional attempts in order to follow up and close the deal. And so think about that. So think about all the effort that's put into it. And so many of us just give up after, 48% of us, of salespeople out there, don't even make one follow up phone call. So 10% of people don't call beyond 3 times. And so those are staggering facts and statistics. And so if we really want to up our game, we just need to be more persistent on being on the phone and making these phone calls. Uh, the calls to the unsold start with an intro and a reminder of who you are. Confirm, as always, that it's a good time to chat. Ask if they've ever made a decision on the product or the service they were considering, and follow up with appropriate questions. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions, and then move back into a servicing role. We just want to keep being of a service to these people. Remember, we're here to help solve a problem. Unpack their answers and ask to demo the product again. Ask to do another demonstration of the product. Maybe you were going back and you were thinking about the last demonstration you did, or maybe you haven't had a time to do the demonstration, but maybe you've already done a demonstration and you failed to mention some key points and failed to ask some certain questions. That'd be a great point to have them take another look at it, have them take another, sit on the couch again, feel the fabric again, touch the leather again, maybe play with all the knobs on the range, or open the doors and the drawers to all the new French door refrigerator that you're selling. And then always leave with next contact that call with the next contact planned. Uh, calling people you do business with. Okay. So, hey, you do business with other people too. So start with an intro and check in with them and remind them of your history that of the business you've done with them. And then set an appointment and confirm that appointment. Um, so on February 11th, it's a Saturday. Okay. It's 10 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. I'm trying to strategically place this next virtual live workshop to a time where people are going to be off. So Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, go to the Hard Knock State. And I threw that up in the chat. Go to thehardknockstate.com and scroll down past my appointment section. You'll hit the webinar and the virtual webinar section. And there's only one event going on or coming up right now. And so that's February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Just go ahead and book your seat. It's $19.95. The information you're going to get from this phone mastery workshop is going to be worth tenfold, 100-fold of the price of admission for the ticket. You're going to leave this workshop, this half-day workshop, and if maybe you're taking are able to take a break from work for 3 hours, 4 hours to go to the workshop, but you immediately got to get back to your office and start making phone calls. Well, I got to tell you, go to this workshop because the information you're going to learn is mind blowing. It's cutting edge, it's ethical, it's transparent, and it's effective. And with that, you're going to be able to master the phones. You're going to be able to control the phone calls. You're going to be able to set more appointments and close more sales, all because you went to this half day workshop. thehardknockstate.com. There is limiting, so please get your ticket as soon as you can. So let's recap on what we've already discussed about phone skills and the warm call. Prospecting is a numbers game. Okay. Prospecting needs to be a daily activity, and there are four levels of prospecting activity. Always think creatively when you're prospecting, and prospecting is getting people to remember you, think of you highly, and pay attention to you. Calls when we do that, we're really talking about customers that we haven't spoken to in a while. So, hey, these people, you just reactivate your relationship with them, whether they're part of your power base, whether they're a unsold customer. They once put maybe they called into the store or your office looking for information. Maybe they're your company again uh, spent a lot of money in advertising to get the phones ringing, get people walking into the door, and now you need to handle these people. But you've engaged with them once or twice in the past, and you haven't sold them yet. So that is the unsold. We've also talked about the sold customer, how to reactivate those people, and also the people who are servicing their product with us as well. I gotta say, once you get really good at the phone and being able to handle the phone calls effectively, uh, there's no turning back. If you're like, let's say you're a above average sales producer right now, and you're really good face to face. You're like tremendous face to face. In fact, you got a great following of people and customers who refer people to you because of how good you are directly in front of them. Um, but maybe you're lacking on the phones. And so maybe you're always trying to make sure you're extra busy around the showroom, around the store, and because you're really good, you're just trying to find that body walking around, maybe looking at a product that you sell. Instead of just taking your time and sitting down and blocking out 30-40 minutes and making a bunch of phone calls to prospective clients. Let's say you were able to sell 3 to 5 additional deals a month just by picking up the phone. What would that do for your income? Would that be a lifestyle change for you? I know selling, being able, if you're in automotive sales, I know just being able to sell 3 additional vehicles a month is a lifestyle change for most people. And if you could sell 3 to 5 extra units of no matter what it is you sell just by perfecting your phone skills, and what would that do? What would the end of 2023 look like? What would the end of quarter two look like? Right? Where would you be halfway through the year? Would you be ahead of where you were in 2022? Would you be on par with where you were on 2022, or would you be behind where you were on 2022? I guarantee you, if you weren't using the phones in 2022 and you start using the phones now and start getting good at it now in quarter one, by the start of quarter two, you'll be a completely uh, much higher skilled sales associate and professional than what you are now. And look, get you good on the phones, get you as good on the phones, if not better than what you are in person. Uh, you'll be untouchable. You'll be able to write your own ticket, sell anything in any industry, no matter what it is, and you'll always be able to make a good living doing that. Getting good on the phones should be a requirement for anybody in sales. Not just get good at texting, because there's people who are really good at texting, and there may be some people watching this live stream and heard the first thing I said about text messaging, and maybe disagreed with that, and that's okay. You can disagree with it. I do know you can be extremely effective by text messaging customers, uh, but you need to pick up the phone because they need to hear the tone of your voice. They need to hear your voice, not only to let them know who you are, remind them of who you are, but also maybe you're just texting with them a little bit, and maybe they're just still shopping and they haven't bought yet. Now your text messages are getting mixed up with everybody else. And so maybe they don't remember the experience you gave them when they were in the store 3 months ago because you're just text messaging with them. So maybe as good as you are on text message, incorporate adding phone calls to that. And I'm not saying stop using text message. I'm just saying, in addition to your text messages, pick up the phone and mix it up a little bit. You'll be amazed on what can happen once you polish your phone skills. I remember it was, gosh, it was really early. Probably I was probably, uh, you know, within the first 5 years of my selling profession, and I remember just. I was horrible on the phones. I absolutely hated the phones. I shied away from the phones. And I remember having to call and follow up with a prospect. And I ran out of things to say, but I kept hammering these people over and over again. Every day I would call two, three, four, 5 times, trying to get a hold of them, saying the exact same thing over and over and over again. And I got nowhere. And I probably killed that lead or that customer for anybody else doing business with that organization for at least the next 10 years. So when you're calling on the phone, remember you want to have multiple you want to have a reason to call, and you want to have a backup reason to call. You also want to have different things to say so you don't sound like a broken record. That is so important. And that, honestly, running out of material or running out of things to say is why salespeople temper only temp you know temp the 10% of salespeople who actually call 3 times, they stop calling after the third time because they run out of things to say. They run out of material to say. So always have an arsenal of things to say that you can throw at your potential customer, so they can you can stay engaged with them. And, you think about this. If you're not using a script or using a guide when you're calling people, regardless of whether that's an inbound call or a follow-up phone call, you're really missing the point. And you need to follow a script until it becomes second nature to where you could say that script uh, just like you're taking your next breath of air. And so let's talk about controlling the phone call a little bit. So let's say a call is coming in. When the incoming call is coming in and your prospect, remember they're seeking information. They've done some research online. They want to call in and they want to get information from you. Um, most of the time, they're not on the right product. Their research that they're doing has misled them a little bit. Half of the time, over 50% of the time, uh, when people come into a store after they've done research on a product or service, those people, the 50% of the people that end up buying that product or the service that they did research on, some of those people, I think it's probably somewhere about 30%, if I remember correctly, are unhappy with their purchase because they made a purchase just based off of data and numbers. They didn't make a purchase off of how that product made them feel. Okay, so half of them are they're on the wrong product. 30% of those who do buy that product, um, it wasn't the right choice for them. And so we need to qualify. This is where fact finding comes in. The caller, they're trying to determine whether it's worth their time to come in to see you. The buyer tends, these callers, they tend to be more qualified than any other callers. Okay, but what they want to do is they want to get information. They also, by calling, they want to establish some distance between you and them. Okay, they want to avoid any obligation at all means necessary, and they want to save time, and they want to make sure they have the product or the service that they've been researching. They also want to find out the cost of it, and they want to see if you can and if you're willing to help them out. And they want to confirm that you have that exact product in the exact color with all the features, with all the options that they want in your store before they spend $4, $5 per gallon of gas to make the drive all the way into your store. Um, so what we want to do is we want to use a script when these people are calling in, okay? And we want to use a script that does a few things. We want to use a script that one, uh, acknowledges the caller. We want to thank them, acknowledge them for coming in. We also want to make sure that the script we're using satisfies the need of information. So when the caller's calling in, we want to make sure we're able to let the caller know that they've called the right organization because we have what it is they're looking for. And we also want to let them know we have other products similar to that that would also be a good solution for their needs. We also want to make sure our script is able to gather the caller's information, the name, the phone number. Okay. And then we want to have our script uh, be able to easily set an appointment. We want to be able to easily set an appointment to meet this customer. And then we want to sell our own name, our own phone number, our own information after everything else is done, and then lock that appointment in. And so when we get really good at this and we're following the right type of script, we're going to actually have the customer agree to lock their own appointment in and guarantee, and that right there, when they do that, that's going to guarantee them showing up. And on February 11th at 10 a.m. during the Phone Sales Mastery Half Day Workshop. We're going to go over and I'm going to give you this information and these scripts so you can. For 1999, 1995, for the $20, the information you're going to get, it's stupid. Quite honestly, this workshop should be $195, if not, $1,995. But I want to be of a service to you, and it is my mission. It is my life's mission to help 10 million people uh, live a successful life through a rewarding career in sales. And that's the reason, that's what drives me every day to do what it is I do. I am a true believer that if everybody uh, can communicate effectively with other people and get their opinion across, get whatever their message across to other people. We're all salespeople, and it doesn't matter whether you're a stay-at-home parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're an executive. It does not matter whether you're a firefighter. We have to negotiate with people throughout all times of the day. If from the minute we wake up in the morning to the minute we go to bed at night, we are in communication with other people. We need to voice our opinion and get our opinion across. So where would the world be if 10 million people could realize they could live a successful life through a rewarding career in sales? My goal is to help get the richest, or what's considered one of the richest nations in the country, the United States, where 76% of US Americans live paycheck to paycheck. I want to get that percentage way down. And so that's, to me, in my eyes, it's wrong for 76% of us to live paycheck to paycheck. And so how are you going to do that if you're working, exchanging hard-earned labor for a meager hourly wage, right? Getting paid by the hour. I got paid by the hour for close to 20 years, 15 years or whatever it was. And I busted my back, just busted my back for a paycheck that would barely pay my bills. And it didn't leave any extra money for me and my family to do any of the little niceties in life that my family deserved to do. I definitely, as a manager, was not able to make an income to where my wife could come home from work and spend the time to take care of the kids. When I knew deep down that's what her goal was, and that's what she wanted to do. She just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. But you know what? I wasn't. I didn't. It wasn't in me. I didn't have it. I was I was doing all I could do just to put, food on the table and keep the lights on. And then when I got into sales, again, it wasn't until halfway through my selling career that it clicked, right? And that, there was an actual formula and there was an actual blueprint on how to become a top sales producer. And part of that was getting really good on the phones. I mean, I had to, you had to do communication. You got to be able to know how to properly formulate an email as a business professional, and most salespeople don't. And especially in retail commission sales, you got to know how to be able to communicate through an email. You got to know how to be able to, just as important to communicate through an email, you got to know how to be able to communicate and sell on the phone. And I tell you, you get so good on the phone, and sales managers. And if you're a business owner and you manage a sales team, you manage your own team, man, get them good on the phone. Because if you can get them good on the phone, you can get them great on the phone. They'll be deadly in person. And so I always had the belief that, hey, if we can get our sales associates deadly on the phone, if we can get them stellar on the phone, what can they do in person once they get in front of a live customer? If they can understand the sales process on the phone, what can we do once they're in front of somebody? And so, as a manager, a manager, uh, you know, we're there to bring out the best in people. That is exactly the role of a sales manager. It's to bring out the best potential, to bring out the highest potential in the members of your sales team. And if you're not doing that and you're just barking orders to manage items, manage things, you're going about it wrong. We're not there to take the credit for everybody and everything that everybody does. In fact, a really good manager won't take the credit. They'll highlight the team members and give them the credit, give them their due justice, and they won't take any special compliment or reward for anything. But a lot of us managers, we get that wrong. We want to take credit. We want to make sure our boss thinks that it's our doing, for everything that goes right. And that's just a really selfish way to be. In fact, it's the wrong kind of selfish, because the right kind of selfish and the way to get what you want out of life is by being a service to others, and making sure others are the ones that are holding the torch. They're the ones that are seeing victory. And so make sure your people get really good on the phone. Okay. And then that way you'll know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you have the right team in place, because you get those people good on the phone, they're automatically going to get good in front of the live customer once they walk in the store. And so on February 11th, again, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, it's my phone mastery workshop, a half day workshop. And with that, you're going to learn how to maximize the most valuable tool in your business. You're going to learn how to be able to load your weapon on the phone. You're going to be able to learn to do that blindfolded. And it is going to be the most powerful. When you're done with this, the phone is going to be the most powerful tool in your arsenal. And you're going to, just like the old Wild West cowboy with the 2 6 shooters on his hips, you're going to replace those guns with telephones. And so, in leaving with you on this today, I want you to remember what the salesperson's responsibilities are. Okay. Number one is to always maintain a positive attitude. Number two is to always be professional and courteous. When we get on the phone with our potential customers, or or people who've already done business, our customers, they've already done business with us, the last thing we want to be is an aggressive jerk. Okay. We're not there to beat people over the head and punch them in the face to get them to buy our product. That is not the goal. Okay. And we want to be professional and courteous. We want to make sure we qualify the buyer, the person on the phone. We want to get their name and information. And lastly, we want to sell our name and our phone number after we've scheduled the appointment for them to come in and meet with us, so we can demonstrate our product or service. We always want to take notes when we're on the phone. And so, uh, get a legal pad. I mean, you can go, gosh, legal pads are so inexpensive. And yeah, however, so many time I walk into a dealership, I walk into a store, I walk into a selling organization, and so few of times I see people, salespeople on the phone without anything to write on, and so they're just on the phone. Hey, yeah, 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 and they're just listening, but yet they're not taking any notes, and so what's going to happen when you meet that client, you know, because you hung up the phone when you said it, you did a great job, right? You hung up the phone, you set an appointment, and then you went on and you made 30 or 40 other phone calls. And then 2 days later, when the appointment time comes for you to meet that person, you don't remember anything because you didn't take any notes. So always take notes. And if you use a script or you use a phone card, make sure you turn that in to your management and ask your manager to confirm the appointment, or ask the manager if you couldn't get an appointment. Man, ask your manager to pick up the phone and call to figure out why they wouldn't schedule an appointment. Okay, and be prepared when you're on the phone. And if you're a manager, look, maybe you got to go to maybe. And I know not all managers are going to be willing to pick up the phone to call your customers, but gosh, if your manager isn't willing to pick up the phone to call your customer, have another coworker call as a manager. It just, hey, call as your manager. And so that could be the guy sitting right next to you. And so have them call. Hey, why didn't you book an appointment with us to come see the product? Greg told me that you seemed really interested and you asked a lot of questions if we had this certain product in stock. Are you just planning to come in on your day off? Or would you like to schedule an appointment to come in now while we have the product available? Because I got to be honest with you, there's only a few of these left. And I would hate for you to wait until your day off or the next available time to where you could come in only for the product not to be here any longer. So why don't we go ahead and set this appointment? I'll go ahead and put your name on one of these. I'll set it to the side. That way we can assure that it's here when you do come in. And so your coworker can make that call if your manager is not able to or not willing to. And then be prepared. So when you're on the phone and you're going through your script or your guide or your call card, make sure that you're prepared and do not be distracted. Don't let a coworker distract you. Don't be distracted by anything on your desk. If you're calling from a landline, the store phone, mute your cell phone, so that way it doesn't start ringing and you become distracted once the person you're calling picks up. And then we also want to make sure that we're able to follow up with these people. And so we want to get back in touch with them. And let's say you've made a phone call, you scheduled an appointment. What should be the very next thing you do after putting the information in the CRM? I would even say before you put any information in the CRM, the first thing you should do is text or email the customer and just say, hey, thanks for taking the time to chat with me. And I look forward to meeting you Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time while we're putting on the half-day phone mastery workshop that you said you're going to go to. And then use information as a way to separate yourself from the others in the marketplace. So look, have a plethora of third-party information about your product or service that you sell in front of you, and use that information as a way to build value and to separate yourself from your competition. The types of calls, the price call, how much is it? I just want to know what your best price. I just want to know how much that product is. And then there's the advertisement calls. These are the warm calls we were talking about earlier. Uh, uh, these are calls that are generated from advertisements. These are calls that are generated from your company paying different sources out there to, whether it's on the website, whether it's radio, whether it's the print publications, if people are still doing that, and TV. And so they're calling in you got a, gorilla jumping up and down on a sofa, or, you know, set of the old Samsonite luggage commercials where the gorilla was throwing the luggage all around. That dates me a little bit, but with a flashing 1-800 number, call right now. And so they're calling in, or I it would when I worked for in uh, internet sales. I remember it was the automobile manufacturer, screaming out the 0% financing or the low lease special, and that would always get the phones, ringing in off the hooks, and so that's the advertisement call. The third type of call you're going to get quite a bit is the availability call. They're calling in just to inquire whether that product or service is available. You also have the general product calls. These are people who have general products about whether the product will satisfy their needs. So they're calling in looking for, hey, when that Gen Air downdraft gas range, when that convection oven is set to 425 degrees, am I able to do this at the same time? Can it do this feature? And so they just want to make sure, and those are sales calls. Believe those are sales calls. Another type of call that you're going to get is the appraisal call. People want to call to find out what their product is worth. Gosh, maybe you sell cell phones, and a customer has a iPhone that's 2 years old, or an Android that's 2 years old, and your company does cell phone trade-in. So maybe they're calling in, hey, yeah, I got a 2-year-old iPhone, looks kind of like a taco after it's been sitting in my back pocket for 2 years. And I want to see what this thing's worth. It's got a cracked screen and the front camera doesn't work any longer. I could hardly read the text messages, but I could still make phone calls. What's my phone worth? And so gosh, that right there, that should be an alarm. If somebody's calling in asking, your red lights should be flashing in your mind when somebody calls in asking what their product's worth, because right then that should tell you that customer is starting their own buying process in their head. They've probably done some research. They're probably, or they could be early, or they could be at the end of doing their research, but look, now they want to find out what they have, if that's worth any money, and if that's going to reduce the amount of down payment in order for them to get their new product or service. You also have the down payment calls. This is people inquiring to find out if they're going to need to put money down, how much money down, if any at all, on your product or service that you sell, and if you're willing to take installment. The interest rate call. If you're selling high ticket items, you get this quite a bit, and heck, even if you're selling mattresses, you may get a caller asking if you finance mattresses, and I know, you can get, I mean, people laugh about that, but gosh, you get a good quality mattress today, and you get a nice adjustable bed frame to go along with it. And of course, you get your Tempur-Pedic pillows to go along with that, and the cooling pad and everything else. Before you know it, man, you spent 5, 6, 7 grand on a bed. And, I don't know how many people today are dropping 5, 6, 7 grand cold hard cash on things. I mean, there's a lot of cash buyers out there, but the majority of people are financing that kind of amount. So they're calling to find out what the interest rate is and who do you bank with and all that. So you need to know the answers to these questions, and in order to be prepared. That interest rate call, I could tell you, it's going to go. It's like the how much is it call? It's like the price call. This needs to be handled professionally. And if you don't know how to handle these calls professionally, you're going to miss a sale. This customer, if you don't handle this interest rate call or the price call in the way it should be handled and needs to be handled, you're not going to set an appointment, and they're not going to come in, and you're not going to make a sale, and you're not going to be able to win a customer for life, because you just didn't have the right ammunition in order to load your gun. The credit problem calls, yeah, you would think these are the easiest calls to get in, but quite honestly, these people have they're very common any kind of installment sales. And uh, these callers, uh, they've been through the ringer. They've probably been into 10, 15, 20 different organizations. They've spent a lot of time going from store to store to store, only to get turned down every single place they went. So they want to call in uh, to make sure it's not a waste of their time. And they want you to kind of verbally tell them that you're going to get them approved, right? How are you supposed to know if you can get them approved? You don't even know if they're going to like the product that you're selling. But gosh, we need to handle these people professionally, handle them with a lot of care and a lot of service. A high level of service is what's going to get these deals done. Send me more information. Hey, can you email me more information, or can you text me more information? These are people that don't want to waste their time. They actually want you to jump, and they want you to do all the footwork before they'll even consider coming into the store. Again, need to be handled with a high level of service, and you need to know how to handle and control those calls. Calling in for someone else. You get people calling in to help a son, a daughter. Maybe they're helping their mother or their father, or an aunt or an uncle or a friend. They're helping them do some footwork on a product or service, and they're going to try to determine if that product or service is going to solve their friend's needs, but only based off the information that the friend told them. So you need to handle these people just like as if they're the buyer themselves. uh, because they're probably trusted advisors for the actual buyer, and this person is probably going to be coming in with the buyer to make sure that the buyer isn't going to be taken advantage of, and that the buyer is actually making the right decision. That's the second baseman. And so we need to handle them just with as much respect and with as much dignity as the by themselves. So, hey, look, what do you want to avoid on a call? Okay. We want to never handle these phone calls when we're preoccupied. We never tell the buyer that we don't have what they're looking for. Never, never tell them you don't have what you're looking for. Look, customer calls in, and you can, let's say what you have doesn't exactly have all the features they're looking for. Could you retrofit it? Could you add it on? Could you get a vendor to put Bluetooth into something, get Bluetooth into a car, right? If it doesn't come with it, of course you can. Can you, let's say, you know, they call in, they were looking for an additional name brand stove or refrigerator, or a whole kitchen set, appliance kitchen set, and they were looking for these certain things to do certain items, right? They want certain features, and that name brand just doesn't offer it, but they are dead set that you have a name, that they want that name brand, and they're dead set that they think that manufacturer offers the services that they just don't. But you have another brand that's another well-known and high quality brand that has that feature. Why would you tell the customer, no, the product they're calling in for doesn't have that feature? What we need to do, again, is handle it professionally, schedule an appointment to come in and get more information to where we can show them the other line and something they may have not even considered. We never want to say it's not, so we never want to say it's not available. We never want to tell the caller that we can't do that. We can't help them. I'm sorry, sir, I can't do that for you. How is that going to go? I guarantee you that's going to end up with a dial tone. We never want to argue with the customer. Why would you ever want to start a relationship off on a disagreement? The dumbest thing ever. I've witnessed this on the people, associates talking on the phone. I've witnessed this in person. I've witnessed this through website chat. It's just an argument right off the bat. And look, remember Bob Jones, how he was angry when you went to go you sent him that follow-up text message. And even though you were happy, Bob read that text message in an angry tone because he's angry. Okay. What if what if Bob just had a bad day? What if it wasn't a follow-up situation? What if Bob just had, or Frank or Sally or Barbara, what if they just had a rough day, and they needed to call because they need this product or service because they know it's going to solve a problem, to stop the pain, to make them live a happy life again. So they're upset just from the beginning. It had nothing to do with you as a salesperson, but they call in, and they just want to kind of pick a fight. We've all answered the phone or met these people. Okay. So do you engage? No, of course not. Engaging with people like that is a surefire way, again, for you to hear a dial tone, for you to hear the phone being slammed up on the side of your head, right? And so we just want to be agreeable, agree with the customer, thank them, be happy. I guarantee you they will take a deep breath with your calming, soothing, happy voice, and they will all of a sudden turn their corners of their mouth up towards their ears as well. And you'll cheer up their day just by you being a positive, happy go lucky person. So when you're on the phone, so again, we never argue, never be in a disagreement, and never avoid asking for the caller's name, their cell phone number, and an email address. Get as many forms of communication while you have a captive audience on the phone, and never keep them on one product. We want to always let them know we have similar products that are also going to solve their needs and do what the product called in for going to do for them. Uh, Here's some other things that we want to avoid. We never want to offer an appointment without offering choices first. And so, what would a choice be on an appointment? We never want to paint a customer in to a corner and say, this is the only day and time I have available. And if you can't make it in, well, sorry, this product is probably going to sell to somebody else. So, we want to give them options, right? Hey, would you like to come in right now, or will a little later be better? Would you like to come in tonight, or would tomorrow be better? Would you like to come in this morning, or would this evening be better? Hey, I've got an appointment. I've got an opening at 3 o'clock and again at 7:45. Which works best for you? Always offer choices when setting an appointment, and never get off the phone. Never hang up the phone without selling your name, your organization, your phone number, your contact information. Remember, and when a sale takes place, there's an exchange of goods and services, right? And so the buyer, the person buying the product, they're exchanging what they hold valuable, which is their money, okay, for the product or the service uh, that you hold valuable. So it's an exchange, okay? And so our first sale, when selling the appointment, we're exchanging information. We're exchanging. We're making an exchange, just like an exchange happens when the sale happens. So they given you their name and phone number and their email address. You need to make sure you give it to them. So never hang up the phone without selling your name. Never end a call without sending up some type of follow-up. So you get off the phone, immediately text message them, and you should probably text message them while you're on the phone with them. That will really uh, increase the odds for you closing the deal. And never blame the caller for anything. Okay. And so when you're controlling these phone calls, explain two reasons why the incoming caller is considered more of a qualified. Think about that. Think of two reasons why the caller is more of a qualified buyer than somebody who just walks in. And so also we want to make sure, again, we're following a script, we're following a guide, we're handling these calls as professionals, because the minute we don't, the minute we try to shoot from the hip, we're going to fail. And we're just going to just be spinning our wheels. We're going to be like, there's two types of unknowledgeable phone salespeople out there. The first one is the one who takes all the phone calls. They're the kind of like the ball hog, if you will, if you've played sports, okay? And they're going to take the majority of the phone calls, or try to take the majority of the phone calls, because they're playing the odds. They're playing the numbers game. The other type of the unknowledgeable salesperson, the other type, they just don't pick up the phone. They just don't. They don't pick up the phone. They don't answer the phone. They don't die for the phone when the phone call comes in. They don't. Um, they just don't use the phone because they don't know what to say. They're afraid they're going to say the wrong thing. They get tongue tied when they're on the phone, and they just know the last time they were on the phone it was a complete mess. So on, hey, look, we want to stop the complete mess, and we want to get you so good on the phone it just becomes second nature. In fact, we want to get you so good on the phone. A lot of sales managers are going to frown when I say this, but we want to get you so good on the phone that you would rather sit down and make phone calls than go stand outside and wait for the customer to drive up. And so we wanted to get you so deadly that you can set so many appointments you don't have to stand and wait for people to walk in. Okay, that right there is, if you're a salesman who's just standing on the showroom floor waiting for somebody, you're just wasting time. Okay, you're every minute of the day when you are at work, you should be working. You need to be working towards a deal and trying to find a way to make a deal every minute, every second of the day. And so the way to do that is to be on the phones when you're not directly in front of a customer. Or, hey, if it's an extremely busy day, I get it. Maybe you're short-handed, short-staffed, and there's, the doors are just swinging, it's swinging back and forth. There's too many customers and too few salespeople to handle the customers. Then and only then should it be okay for you not to block out time to be on the phone. But again, on February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, the Phone Sales Mastery Half Day Workshop, go to thehardknockstate.com and get your ticket. It's $19.95, and the information you're going to learn will make you millions on the phone. It really will. And this information, not only are you going to get this information, you are going to get a Grant Cardone 10x sales professional uh, course, digital download workbook that you can follow along, take notes on through the half day workshop, and then you can refer back to that at any time you need to. And you could always keep fresh. You'll have all this information just sitting on your downloadable drive, and you could pull it up anytime you need it. You can make as many copies off. Maybe you're a sales manager, you're going to come to the phone mastery workshop so you could take information back to your sales team. Well, with this digital download workbook, you can run off as many copies for as many associates on your team as possible that's needed, to where you can coach and train them on how to use the phone effectively. While you're on the hardknockstate.com too, I would urge you to take a look at some of my other coaching and training products. I have over 18 products, not to mention my Shopify store. So my Shopify store, that's all Grant's products. You can get all the tickets to all of his upcoming live 10X events. You can get tickets for Elena Cardone's mastermind, real estate summits. There's probably 12 or 15 additional products you can get. And so if you're on my website and click on the hamburger, or right, if you're on your computer, at the top of the website, you'll see the little sign that says "See Grant Cardone Live." Click on that. That'll take you to my Shopify store. If you're on your mobile device, it will be the three lines, the hamburger on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Click on that, and then click on "See Grant Cardone Live." That'll take you to the Shopify store. But other than that, maybe there's some other products and services that will be beneficial for you too. Again, it's my goal to help. It's my life's mission to help 10 million people live a successful life through a rewarding career in sales. And I'm only thinking about our economy and our future, the future of the nation we live in, and what life is going to look like down the road if we don't teach people how to effectively communicate with others. And the easiest way to do that, you might as well get paid for being able to communicate effectively for others, because every single reward we have in life is a commission. And I made the jump to being a 100% commission salesperson over 20 years ago. And I know I'll never go back to working an hourly job unless unless our commission jobs, our 100% commission jobs all go away. And I know they won't, because I know the world and I know companies need salespeople. Do you know that if companies did away with sales associates, that the companies would stop production almost immediately? Because it's the salespeople that drive economies, it's the salespeople that drive industries, it's the salespeople that put product in people's homes. If they put cars in people's driveways, they put clothes on people's back, they put the food in your cupboard. And without salespeople, believe me, the farmer just doesn't take his goods and drop it off at the grocery store. Okay, there's salespeople involved to get that product on the shelf, and so without salespeople, industry would absolutely stop. And when economy slows down, we have a downturn in turn in the economy. It's usually because the knuckleheads in Washington, D.C. But the way out of a bad economy is through sales. So we need to keep industry moving. And so if we want to live in the good times of a good economy, the only way we're going to do it is through by increasing sales and teaching more people how to communicate effectively with others. And so uh, Saturday the 11th, February the 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's my phone sales mastery half day workshop. It's 1995. I mean, you'll spend more on that driving to go see a movie, right? And so you can't even, I think you can't even get two matinee tickets for $20 for you and your wife, or you and your girlfriend to go see a movie, or you or your boyfriend. But for $20, you can gather as many people around the computer as you want, or on your cell phone or your tablet. You'll get the workbook. Again, you can run as many copies off for all the people, all your coworkers, all your fellow associates, or your sales team. And you're going to get information that's going to make you absolutely deadly and make you a true sales and telephone ninja. Uh, Again, my name is Greg Nelson, the owner of the Hard Knock State sales training, sales coaching company here in the Pacific Northwest. And not only am I a certified Grant Cardone licensee, but I'm also a 20-year sales veteran and former sales training manager. I can help you get to where you want to go. The Hard Knock State is a horrible place to be in. The Hard Knock State is the name of my company, but really that's the state that we are in until we figure how to sell more, how to sell consistently, and how to earn more on each sale. And that's exactly what I want to do for you. So February 11th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, uh, thehardknockstate.com. Get your tickets now. There is limited seating, and we'll see you. We'll see you then. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you are more than